Welcome to US ME Forms Coach. My promise to you in every single explainer on this channel is this. By the time this lesson ends, you will know exactly what to do next. No confusion, no guessing, no wondering if you filled something out correctly. Just clear, confident, step-by-step guidance from start to finish. That is what we do here every single day. So settle in, have your documents ready, and let's walk through today's lesson, demystifying Section 1 of Form I-9, together, one step at a time.
Okay, let's take a super quick look at our agenda for today. We're going to cover the purpose of the form, how to actually kick things off online, entering your personal info, navigating those tricky citizenship status options, and finally, doing your review and hitting submit. All right, Section 1, the purpose of Form I-9, or the why before the how. Before we go clicking around, let's just ground ourselves in why we literally all have to do this. Here's the deal. Every single U.S. employer has to complete this form for every single person they hire. That means citizens, non-citizens, everybody. It's basically a foundational compliance step to verify your identity and your legal authorization to work here. Both you and your employer share the responsibility on this, and honestly, getting it right is a strict federal requirement, so we definitely want to nail it. Moving right along to Section 2, starting the online form. This is the easy stuff, I promise. Let's jump into the online Equifax portal, or whatever digital system your company uses, and knock out these first few steps. First up, you'll just search for and select your specific work location from a list. It might literally just be picking your city from a drop-down menu. Takes maybe 2 seconds. But make sure you pick the exact physical location where you'll actually be reporting to work. Next, you're going to enter your work start date. Now pay attention here, because this is the very first day you officially report to your job for pay. Not the day you sign the offer letter, and definitely not the day you're sitting on your couch filling out this form. It's your literal day one, so just double check that it perfectly matches your offer letter. Okay, Section 3, entering personal information, and specifically handling the missing SSN. This is where we need to tackle a super common hurdle, especially for our international folks. So, you'll pop in your basic details, right? First name, last name, current address, date of birth. Simple enough. But the Social Security number field is where things get interesting. Entering an SSN is actually optional unless your employer uses the government's E-Verify program. If they do use E-Verify and you have an SSN, you absolutely have to provide it. But what if you just got here and you don't have one yet? Listen to me, do not panic. If you're an international hire, waiting on that number, just check the little box that says SSN applied for. That's it. Leave the number field blank and keep moving forward. It's totally normal and 100% acceptable while your paperwork is processing. All right, take a deep breath. We're moving into Section 4, selecting citizenship status. This is kind of the peak complexity of the form, so we're going to slow down a bit and carefully unpack these categories together. You legally have to attest to your status here, under penalty of perjury, by choosing one of 4 specific categories. You're either a citizen of the United States, a non-citizen national, a lawful permanent resident, or an alien authorized to work. I know, the terminology sounds super intimidating, but it really just means you have to be truthful about your current, valid legal status. It's absolutely critical you pick the one that fits your exact situation today. The biggest point of confusion usually lies between those last 2 options. Think of it like this. A lawful permanent resident, like a green card holder, resides here permanently. On the flip side, an alien authorized to work is here on a specific temporary visa or status. Think F1 students, H-1B professionals, J-1 exchange visitors. This temporary category usually means you'll have an expiration date for your work authorization. So if you check lawful permanent resident, the system's going to ask for a specific number. You'll enter your 7- to 9-digit USCIS number, which is also known as an A number. Don't let the different names stress you out. They are literally the exact same number. The only difference is whether there's an A in front of it. Just type it in exactly as it looks on your official document. Now, what if you're an international student? If you're on an F1 or J1 visa, you'll check that 4th box, alien authorized to work until. Your expiration date is actually your program end date, which is right there on your I-20 or DS 2019. Oh, and instead of an A number, you're going to use your CVIS number, the one that starts with an N, as your main authorization document number. Let's look at another really common scenario. A lot of authorized workers, like J2 dependents, use an EAD, or Employment Authorization Document. Officially, it's Form I-76, but it's really just a physical card from Homeland Security. It grants you temporary permission to work, and it's got a very clear expiration date stamped right on the front, which is exactly what you'll enter into the I-9. And that brings us to a really interesting edge case: refugees and asylees. They also check that fourth box. But here's the catch: their legal permission to work doesn't actually expire. So what do? The Department of Justice says you simply type N/A right into the expiration date field. Boom. That tells the system your work authorization is ongoing. All right, Section 5, Final Review and Submission. We have successfully navigated the trickiest parts of this form, so let's cross the finish line together.
Right before you wrap up, the system's going to throw a quick question at you. Did someone help you prepare or translate this document? Totally normal. Having someone help you out is completely allowed and honestly very common, especially if English isn't your native language.
If someone did help, no big deal. Just check the yes box and type in their first name, last name, and address. They're just confirming they helped you truthfully. If you did it all by yourself, solo mission, just check no and hit continue. Okay, information review screen. This is it. Your last chance to catch any sneaky typos. Check your name spelling, your birthday, your document numbers. If you spot a mistake, just click the little pencil icon and fix it. Once you're 100% sure everything is true and correct, it's signature time.
Finishing Section 1 is literally 3 clicks. 1. Check the box saying, "Use the information I provided." 2. Click the Sign button to drop in your electronic signature. And 3. Hit Finish and Submit with total confidence. And just like that, you are officially done with your part of the paperwork. Now that you've absolutely crushed this legally binding digital paperwork, think about this. How will confidently understanding your own work status empower the rest of your professional journey here in the US? Compliance is really just the beginning, right? When you understand your documents and navigate these systems without fear, you're setting yourself up for massive success. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Now that Section 1 is in the bag, do you know exactly what physical documents you need to bring for Section 2? Until next time, stay confident and keep moving forward.